My name is Ed Goins, and today I would like to share with you some of my insights and ideas related to ExxonMobil's future. I would also like to share with you a solution for sustaining competitive advantage in the oil and gas industry. Oil and gas strategists, they agree that market volatility is one of the biggest problems facing oil and gas companies today. Now this volatility, it's associated with global instability, geopolitical disagreements, and economic uncertainty. Market volatility, it's a big problem because number one, it erodes profit margins. And number two, it reduces revenues. It also results in a loss of market share and negative investor sentiment. Now, as you know, ExxonMobil's entire value chain is threatened by this volatility. But the upstream business segment, it's especially vulnerable. Now, it's vulnerable for two reasons. Number one, it's the beginning of the value chain. And number two, because 80% of Exxon's earnings flow from this business segment. You know, market volatility, it can make it difficult to predict revenue and net profit, return on investment as oil prices plummet due to geopolitical events and just economic crisis. And so what I'd like you to do, I want you to consider the following example in Table 1. Let's say that ExxonMobil purchases a piece of land for $5.5 million, knowing that it has a 100,000 barrel oil reserve on the property. An oil rig with a crew for the job costs around $350,000. And with oil prices at $80 a barrel, the project team, they run some calculations, excuse me, and they realize that Exxon can make a net profit of $2.1 million. And this is a 37% return on investment. However, market volatility may creep in and negatively impact oil prices right about the time they begin to drill this well. And this, let's just say oil prices go down to $50 a barrel. Now this same project is in the hole for $850,000. It's a negative 15% return on investment. So you understand that market volatility, it erodes profit margin. It makes it difficult to project return on investment of projects. So ExxonMobil, they can address this issue by using their competitive advantage in innovation and technology. And basically they can develop a system that anticipates or predicts the magnitude and the timing of market volatility. Now this solution, it will utilize technological insight and mitigation to defend against market volatility while expanding the business, growing market share, and increasing revenue and profits. Technological insight and mitigation, which we're going to use the acronym TIM for the remainder of this presentation. TIM is an information processing system that predicts the timing and magnitude of volatility using digital technology, artificial intelligence, and real-time data analytics that look at leading indicators and historical trends. This aspect of TIM, it can be used to make critical decisions dealing with project investments and timing of those investments. TIM's proactive architecture will ultimately increase profit margins. It'll boost revenues, and it will positively impact return on invested capital. Now, to do this, number one, Exxon will need to create a cross-functional subgroup within their research and development group. And their objective will be to develop innovative business solutions that address oil and gas market volatility for each of ExxonMobil's business divisions. This is depicted in Figure 1.1. Tim will be led by a director who will report directly to a senior vice president of R&D. And the director should be selected from the existing R&D group, because this will ultimately expedite the formation of the subgroup, because this person will have all that knowledge and background to make Tim a success. This is depicted in figure 1.2. An independent Tim research facility will be strategically located inside each of Exxon's existing technology centers. There's 9 technology centers, so there's going to be 9 Tim research facilities as depicted in figure 2. Each of the 9 research facilities will be staffed with 50 people for a total of 450 personnel. Tim headquarters will be based in the ExxonMobil Baytown Technology and Engineering Complex. And the director of Tim, he will occupy an office in the Baytown complex, and he will oversee Tim from that location. The director, he will hire a manager for each of the 9 research facilities. And as shown in figure 3, these 9 managers must be technical experts and creative personnel with backgrounds in finance, economics, politics, and project development. The director, he or she will work with these managers to hire qualified people for the 9 research facilities. Each of the facilities will be staffed with scientists, engineers, software technicians, AI experts, and computer analysts. To minimize disruption to the existing R&D group, less than 20% of the personnel needed for Tim should be sourced internally. The Tim R&D team, they will work through 4 phases of project development over a 48-month period. The conceptual, feasibility, definition, and implementation phases are shown in figure 4. Now the conceptual phase, it will start in the 4th quarter of 2026. The feasibility phase will start in the 2nd quarter of 2027. It includes a deep dive into digital interface technology, AI algorithms, and IT infrastructure. The definition phase, it will start the 2nd quarter of 2028. And the implementation phase, it will start the 1st quarter of 2029. Tim will be rolled out or integrated into Exxon's business segments the 2nd quarter of 2030. You know, the Tim budget, it will be included in Exxon's primary research and development budget, which right now is at $1.007 billion per year. The 2026 Tim budget is shown in Table 2. Now the 2026 Tim budget will be $146.5 million. Now this includes research center lease, salaries, travel and relocation, computers, software, and external contracts. The lease amount is $1 million annually per research center. And so that's a big part of the budget for 2026 and each of the following years. An additional $250,000 is included for each research center for furnishings and upgrades to their computer systems. Salary and benefits are based on an average annual compensation of $250,000 for each of the 451 people. Now we know that the actual compensation, it will be determined on an individual basis. The main R&D budget will be increased by 15% in 2026 to establish Tim. The 2027 R&D budget, it will need to increase by 7% to compensate for inflation, escalation, and project growth. The 2027 Tim budget, $161.4 million, it also includes lease, salaries, travel, computer, software, IT supplies, and external contracts. An allowance for 20% in compensation increases and bonuses are included in the salaries column for years 27 through 2030. A 10% increase in computer software upgrades is included in that column for years 27 through 29. The total project budget for 2026 through 2030 is $727.2 million. Exxon's technological innovation, financial reserves, scale, footprint, and integrated value chain are necessary to successfully develop and implement TIM. This one-of-a-kind product will allow Exxon to effectively close the faucet during periods of price depression and open the faucet during peak periods. Now, over the past decade, there have been 52 peaks and valleys, with oil prices ranging from $19 a barrel to $114 a barrel. And this is shown in Figure 5. The average inflection was valued at $10 a barrel. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but this can have a devastating impact on a project that's producing thousands or even millions of barrels per day. Crude oil prices are currently averaging $63.65 a barrel, which means that a $10 per barrel decrease in price results in a 15.7% reduction in revenue. This ultimately leads to a 35% reduction in net profits given average expenses. TIM will allow Exxon to retain these lost profits during downturns that are brought on by market volatility. For example, ExxonMobil's Guyana project. Guyana's oil reserves are projected to yield 900,000 barrels of oil per day for the next 25 years. A $10 per barrel decrease in oil prices would impact that project with a $9 million loss every day. Avoiding these $10 per barrel depressions in Guyana for 60 days is roughly $540 million. Table 3 depicts revenue and net profit for 60 days, 120, 180, 240, 300, and 360-day periods. Because you see, these periods of oil depression, price depression, they could last 30 days, 60 days. They could last for long periods of time or short periods. Table 4, it depicts payback period or break-even point for TIM. And right now, the break-even point, using our projections, is 81 days. In short, a 90-day implementation period during times of market volatility averaging $10 a barrel downward trend results in a net profit of $82.7 million, which is an 11% return on investment. TIM's impact on revenue, net profit, and return on investment in oil and gas segments will ultimately determine its effectiveness in predicting and avoiding market volatility by controlling production, project schedules, and specialized contracts. In March of 2023, Exxon's return on invested capital was 20.18%. It has steadily declined in the past 3 years. The current ROIC is 7.39%. TIM will reverse this trend by increasing Exxon's NOPAT, or net operating profit after taxes, by 59%. Invested capital will also increase by 38%. This will raise the ROIC to 8.5% as depicted in Table 5. In conclusion, Exxon can stop profit erosion, increase revenues, boost investor sentiment, and retain its status as a premier oil and gas company by leveraging its competitive advantages and financial fortitude and technological innovation to implement TIM in all of its oil and gas business sectors. Thank you. Hi, Ed Goins here. I would like to discuss with you the impact Boise State's MBA program and this Capstone project has had on my life over the past few years and the past few weeks. Just after I applied to the program in 2020, my father, he had a heart attack and unexpectedly passed away. It was a tragic loss that made me question my decision to even pursue an MBA, but I decided to go for it. A year later, in 2021, my brother, who was 46 years old, was a young guy. He had an unexpected heart condition and passed away. And my brother, he had been taking care of my mother. So I had to take a break from school and fly from Alaska to Ohio to take care of my mom. Unbelievably, my mother passed away a few months later on Thanksgiving Day in 2021. It was a season of loss, and it brought with it a lot of pain and confusion. I finally decided not to go back to school, and for about a year I drew close to my wife and children, spent precious time with them. About a year later, I received a telephone call and had a conversation with Boise's MBA advisor asking me about my situation and if the Boise State MBA was still a possibility. And so I prayed about that and decided to give it another try. And I'm glad I did because now I'm nearing the end of my journey with Boise State. You know, as a project engineer working in South Central Alaska, there's limited opportunities for pursuing continued education in a program that is applicable to my professional life. But Boise State has checked all the boxes for me by offering courses that are not just applicable, but they're technical, intellectual, convenient, they're satisfying. The 7-week courses are just about the right length for a working professional. You know, they're not so long that they're a burden to my schedule and my family, but they're not so short that I lack or miss out on any business-related knowledge. The credit that I've earned from the courses have applied toward my MBA, but they've also been recognized by the Project Management Institute, and so I'm able to maintain my PMP credential by reporting many of the individual classes. My coursework has also been recognized by the Alaska State Board of Professional Engineers and the Ohio Board of Professional Engineers and Land Surveyors as I maintain learning credits or continuing education credits toward my PE credential. I've been able to apply much of what I've learned to my job. I've managed projects across the state of Alaska and also in the state of Washington. Selecting project alternatives, choosing vendors and suppliers, implementing projects in a safe and legal manner, and accounting for my project budgets and schedules are just a few of the benefits that I've experienced as I apply my knowledge from the past 5 years. I'm looking forward to engaging my employer's business development group in the future to discuss and propose ideas that may benefit them. Now, I'm confident that I have the knowledge to carry on that conversation with them about project benefits, risks, regulatory requirements, and return on investments in particular. This Capstone project has given me a unique perspective into pulling back the curtain of what gives a company competitive advantage and what it takes to sustain that competitive advantage. It doesn't come without hard work and without just a real perseverance and focus on doing that. This will be part of my conversation with upper management. Lastly, I'm thankful for my employer who's assisted me in the pursuit of an MBA with Boise State. They've provided some educational tuition reimbursement from the beginning, and that has actually taken some of the financial pressure off my family and I. I'm also thankful to the Boise instructors and the teaching assistants who have offered valuable feedback and insight into various topics along the way. Thank you to Professor Cundiff for your feedback these past weeks on the research papers, because they've ultimately built upon one another to get to this point. My goal really is to retire in the next 5 years and maybe start my own business as a technical consultant or project manager for hire. I believe the Boise State MBA program, the MBA credential, will ultimately help me in this goal as well. Thank you, and God bless.